He didn't realize he had wasted 10 years, until someone half his age asked him a question he couldn't answer. Why do you still do this? If you hate it, maybe this feels familiar. You keep showing up to a life that stopped feeling like yours a long time ago. Same routine, same people, same quiet exhaustion you don't talk about. And one day, without warning, everything holding that life together collapses at once. Not gradually, all at once. And suddenly you're standing in the middle of it, asking yourself, was any of this even real? That's exactly where Marcus found himself. But what happened next, nobody expected. Marcus was a night shift paramedic dispatcher. He didn't save lives directly. He just listened to chaos through a headset. Sirens in the background, panicked voices, breathing that sounded like it might stop any second. Stay with me. Help is on the way. He said that line dozens of times every night. Ironically, it was something he never said to himself. Marcus lived alone in a small apartment above a 24-hour grocery store. The constant hum of refrigerators below vibrated through his floor like a reminder. Life goes on, whether you feel it or not. He was good at his job. Calm, precise, detached. Too detached. That was his flaw. He had trained himself to feel nothing, because feeling everything was too heavy. Years ago, he lost contact with his younger brother, Eli, after a bitter argument. Pride kept him from reaching out. He told himself it didn't matter. But late at night, between calls, that silence felt louder than any emergency. His motivation wasn't success. It was quieter. He wanted to prove to himself that he wasn't the kind of person who runs away from responsibility. So he stayed. In the job, in the routine, in the emotional distance, even when it slowly drained him. It happened at 2:13 a.m. A call came in. Young male, breathing issues, panic escalating. Marcus slipped into his role instantly. Tell me what's happening. The voice on the other end trembled. I can't breathe. I think I'm gonna pass out. Marcus stayed calm, asked the right questions. But then, something shifted. The voice felt familiar. Too familiar. Stay with me, Marcus said, his tone tightening slightly. What's your name? A pause. Eli. The room went silent. Not outside, not in reality, but inside Marcus. Every memory, every ignored message, every year of silence collapsed into that one word. His brother, on the other end of an emergency call. Eli? Marcus whispered, breaking protocol. But the line cut, just like that, gone. Marcus sat frozen, headset still on, heart pounding like it didn't belong to him. He tried calling back. No response. For the first time in years, he wasn't detached. He was terrified, and he had no control. Marcus rushed out of the dispatch center, ignoring his supervisor calling after him. Cold air hit his face as he stepped outside. The city felt different, sharper, louder, real. He drove aimlessly at first, because he didn't know where Eli was, didn't know anything about his life anymore. That was the truth he had avoided for years. At a red light, his hands shook on the steering wheel. What have I done? He whispered. For the first time, Marcus wasn't analyzing someone else's emergency. He was inside his own. Hours passed. No updates. No closure. Just uncertainty. By morning, exhaustion hit him like a wave. He pulled over near a quiet park, engines still running. Children's laughter echoed faintly from a nearby playground. Normal life, uninterrupted. Marcus sat there, hollow. A little girl nearby was trying to fix a broken toy ambulance. The wheel kept falling off. She looked frustrated. Marcus watched her for a moment, then stepped out. Need help? He asked gently. She nodded, holding it out. He knelt, examining the toy. Simple fix. He snapped the wheel back into place. There, he said. She smiled. You fixed it. Marcus stared at the tiny ambulance in his hands. I didn't fix anything, he murmured. But something about that moment stayed with him. Not because of the toy, but because of what it showed him. He had spent years helping strangers survive emergencies. while ignoring the one relationship that actually mattered. Later that day, Marcus finally got news. Not from Eli, from the system. The call had been transferred. Ambulance dispatched. Patient stabilized. No further details. Alive, but unreachable. Marcus exhaled, but it didn't feel like relief. It felt like a second chance he didn't deserve. That night, he returned to work. Sat in the same chair. Put on the same headset. But everything felt wrong. Every call now felt personal. Every voice sounded like it could disappear at any second. Halfway through his shift, another emergency came in. Someone panicking, crying, "Please don't let me die." Marcus froze. For the first time in his career, he couldn't respond. His voice caught. His chest tightened. The same words he had said 1,000 times wouldn't come out. "Sir, are you there?" The caller begged. Marcus pulled off the headset, walked out, just left. That was the moment he broke. Not because he lost control, but because he realized he had built a life that required him not to feel. And now he couldn't live inside it anymore. The days that followed were messy. No plan, no job, no identity. Marcus wandered through the city like a stranger. He tried calling Eli again. No answer. He wrote messages, deleted them, rewrote them. Nothing felt right. One early morning, just before sunrise, Marcus sat on a bus stop bench. The sky was soft gray, slowly turning orange. Quiet moment. No sirens, no voices, just stillness. For the first time in years, he let himself feel everything. The regret, the guilt, the lost time, and a simple truth surfaced. Avoiding pain didn't protect him. It disconnected him. Later that day, he made a decision. Not dramatic, not heroic, just honest. He went to the hospital listed in the dispatch records. Walked in, heart pounding. At the front desk, his voice trembled. "I'm looking for someone." "Eli." The nurse checked.
He was discharged yesterday.
He was discharged yesterday. Marcus nodded slowly. Of course. Too late again. But then, "Wait," she added. "He left something at the desk. Said someone might come." She handed Marcus a small envelope. Inside was a single note. "I didn't think you'd recognize my voice." That line hit harder than anything else. Not anger, not blame, just distance. Years of it. Marcus sat in the hospital hallway, staring at the note. And for once, he didn't run from the feeling. 1 year later, Marcus no longer worked in dispatch. He didn't go back. Not because he failed, but because he finally admitted it wasn't who he wanted to be anymore. Instead, he volunteered at a community crisis center. Not behind a headset, face to face, listening, really listening, not just responding, not just managing, connecting. One afternoon, a young man sat across from him, anxious, restless. "I feel like I've wasted years," he said. Marcus nodded. "I know that feeling." The room was quiet. No scripts, no protocols, just presence. And sometimes, that was enough. He still hadn't fully repaired things with Eli, but he had started. A few messages, a short meeting, awkward but real. For the first time, there was no silence between them. Marcus didn't lose everything that day. He lost the version of himself that was emotionally absent from his own life. Here's the truth. You can function perfectly and still be completely disconnected. And here's something most people don't realize. If you suppress just one emotion every day, that's 365 moments a year where you chose distance over truth. That distance adds up. Until one day you don't recognize your own life anymore. Marcus didn't rebuild by fixing everything. He rebuilt by allowing himself to feel again. So here's something you can do today. Reach out to one person you've been emotionally distant from. No perfect words, just honesty. And remember this. Sometimes losing control is the only way to reconnect with what actually matters. Now tell me, who in your life have you been quietly disconnecting from?
What is the path you choose to take?